give Jay Alfonso his things. My man needs an Oscar, honey. Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. And we are here for PValley, episode number 7 of season 2. I decided to do it standing up this morning because I have a whole bunch of energy, and I also have coffee. So, let's just jump right into it. We are greeted by the original Dream Girl, honey, Miss Loretta Devine, looking like she is on the set of Dreamgirls. You know, she's singing, just giving us a good old melody, and I'm like, yes, honey, remind the girls who you are. And you know, she's singing in what is now known as the Pink, but it used to be her juke joint. And we just see people grooving, honey. You see money passing through hands, and then we see a little child running across the floor, and a woman picks him up and says, look at your grandmother. So we know that that's younger Uncle Clifford and his mother at the time. And then, it's still just going through. Then next thing you know, we see her back, as she is now as an older woman. And then we see this lady coming through in her all white with little specks of gold on it. And she's holding up Grandma Ernestine's favorite drink and saying, come on, Ma, take you a drink and come rest. But Grandma Ernestine says, not yet, honey. It ain't my time to go yet. Although, she's still sweating. She's still, she's sick. So it's just like, it looked like it's going to be her time to go. But she's like, not yet. Y'all not ready for me yet. I'm not ready to come over to the other side. So then we have Uncle Clifford, who is in the Pink, standing up on the stage. And here comes Autumn, like, I thought we was meeting outside or up front or something like that. And he's just my Lord, and I mean no disrespect. She's like, there's so many memories. What I've been saying this whole time, how Autumn is trying to still it's just a building. You can do it. It's like, it's not just a building. This is part of my legacy. This runs in my family. Like, this is history to me. This building means something. Like, yeah, you can create another strip joint anywhere, but this was not just a strip club. It used to be something else. Like, it means something to me. And Autumn, like, she's never going to understand that because all she's thinking about is the money. And she tells Uncle Clifford, like, from the get-go, I did not buy back this building with the hopes of just saving it for you. I've always had plans to sell this building. Like, you just might as well let that go. And she tells her, they offered me $5 million, but I didn't take it. And Uncle Cliff was like, bitch, what? But and then she had to remember, like, wait, no, that's good. I don't want you to sell it. But like, bitch, what? And she's Autumn. She tells her, I'm holding out for the 10. Like, she has her heart set on 10 million, what she truly believes that the Pink is worth and what these people are going to sell it for. Because she's like, that casino, like, it's coming regardless. So either get what it's worth or be bulldozed over. But I'm like, if you're not willing to sell and you're like up on your building, they can't just take it from you. Because if you're the owner and it's not for sale, what they gonna do? They can't just take it from you. So, they still left at an impasse. But Autumn also brings up the fact that money that she siphoned over to buy the Pink, it was supposed to be for a new life with her and her daughter. But Uncle Clifford tells her, but Haley, she's gone. Like, yeah, you promised yourself that's what that money was for, and that's probably what you worked for, but unfortunately, your daughter is gone. Which is the kind of the wrong thing to say at that time, in my opinion, because if you're talking about somebody being gone, all your family and all that history, they're also gone. Like, all you have is the memory. So you trying to hold on to that building. She's also trying to hold on to her daughter. So it was kind of like, now's not the time to point out the obvious. So, Little Murder, he's still on the couch at Uncle Clifford and Grandma Ernestine's house. And of course, that night, as well as any other memories he's had with Teak, is playing back in his mind as he's lighting his blunt. And I'm like, should you really be smoking in the house? Even if she is in another room, should you really be smoking around Grandma Ernestine? But he's crying, which obviously, like, but then he hears her coughing, so he put on his mask and he go in the room, and it's like, rise and shine. And this lady says, Isaac Hayes. But before that, she's like, I don't want no drink from no dead person. So it's like, obviously she's still dreaming about her daughter holding out that drink to her, telling, come on home, this home, come home. And she's like, no, I'm not ready to die yet. And so Little Murder brings her something to eat, like, I got this for you, sit up so you can eat. And she's smelling, she's like, smothered pork chops, candy yams, collard greens and cornbread. Like, what? You know how to cook all that? And he's like, yeah, I can do a little something. I love their relationship, like, so much. I'm like, I live for Grandma Ernestine, because my granny, who lives up here, she's the same way. I'm like, I love this. And she also tells him, because he says, well, you still got your sense of smell, because, that's one of the first things to go. And Grandma Ernestine says, honey, that's really the only sense I got left. Like, I can smell. She said, but, with me being able to smell, I can also smell death. And, I took that two ways. Of course, she can smell the death, like, kind of on herself and people calling her from the other side. Because, she already saw her daddy. Now she done saw her daughter. And then she smelled the blood on him. Because she says, the other night, all that blood. I said, yeah, he was covered in blood. But Clifford did burn the clothes. Which I'm like, of course, because what else was you going to do with them? And she's eating the food. And she's like, if you keep doing all of this, a bitch could get used to you being around. I forgot what he said, but she was like, I ain't the bitch I'm referring to. Like, I'm talking about Clifford. You stay around long enough, she gonna get used to you. And I feel like she was also insinuating, like, she gonna need somebody around pretty soon. Even though Grandma Ernestine keeps saying she ain't ready to die, it's like, back to the conversation of when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. Like, even if you ain't ready, the time is coming, unfortunately. And so we have Keyshawn and Derek at the store, just looking at stuff. Once again, Derek is trying to be sweet, but it's like, from a domestic violence victim, like, at some point, you can't be sweet. Like, I don't want to hear this shit no more. Like, I'm tired of it. And, of course, as an abuser says, I'm trying. You trying what? You're not doing nothing. You trying to make conversation, and she tired of your shit. Like, how you frustrated that she tired of being beat on? Exactly. But she sees Haley peeking around the corner, and so she's like, I need some makeup for her. And I'm like, once again, the casualty in which she just points to her face, like, this. And it's just like, there's not a laughing matter. What the fuck we doing? But she goes to see Haley, and Haley says, I see you decided not to use my gun. Because I was wondering where the gun came from, not gonna lie. Because with the way the situation been going with Keyshawn, I'm like, she ain't no way she bought that gun. I honestly never thought she bought that gun. Because for it to just be laying around the house like that, with the way he's so in her business, he would have found that gun, like, before now. I mean, he still ain't found it, but he would have known about that gun before now, and it would have caused a bigger problem. Because he's too obsessed with her and wants to know her every move and everything that she's doing for him not to know about it. So she recently got that gun, and she been hiding it well enough. But she says, I just can't. I got the kids. I can't do it. And once again, Derek is calling her name. Like, she can't have a conversation for 30 seconds before he comes around. Like, he's obsessed with her. He controls her. Because it's like, he already knows, if I let her out too long, you know, somebody could get to talking to her, my control slips over her. So no. Um, Little Murder, he and Uncle Clifford, they're sitting at the table because Uncle Clifford is funny. She called that man a little homicide. What was it, carbon monoxide? Something. She was just going to town on him for a second, and she thought that he had left Grandma Ernestine alone because neither one of them was answering like when she called out. But he was just sitting by her bedside, you know, taking care of her because Uncle Clifford was like, "Did you do this? Did you do?" He's like, "Everything you left on that piece of paper, I did it. Relax." But I'm just like, hold on. Nigga, at the end of the day, this is still her grandmother. She's gonna be worried, so you relax. No, I'm checking up on you. Did you do everything? I need to make sure she's comfortable. uh, and so they go sit down at the table because Lil Murder makes her something to eat. And she's telling him about, you know, they offered her 5 million, but she turned it down. And he's like, yeah, because that would have been 1 point something for you. And she's like, oh, look at you, little calculator. I said, Uncle Clifford, please. I said, that's just like me. I give everybody a nickname, honey. But then she asked about him, like, you know, how you doing? I heard you crying in your sleep. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm all right. I'm all right. Like, nigga, you literally came to my house crying, breaking down in my arms. I saw you cry already. Like, what are we doing here? Like, but she let him have it. Like, all right, fuck it, you know. But anyway, Little Murder is blowing up, honey. He got Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Wody calling him like 20 sometimes. Like, nigga, it's time to get back on the road. That song with Tina Snow is blowing up. Everybody likes it. We need to get this on the road. And Lil Murder is like, you know, yeah, who gonna be security now? And he's like, you know, we gonna figure it out. And he asks, does, what is it, F&G, do they still have the body? And he's like, yeah, you know, nobody has claimed his body, so they probably gonna have to just put him in a pine box and let that be that, because there's nobody there to properly bury him. And Lil Murder's like, nah, what is it, HVH, we gonna put him away real nice. And I'm like, I never had a doubt with that. I'm like, with the gang shows up if you got the right gang. Let's say that. So he hears a thud. Lil Murder hears a thud upstairs, and he rushed upstairs because he thinking Uncle Clifford done passed out somewhere. But no, she looking through all her clothes, trying to find something for him to wear. And so, of course, he comes in, he see the jewelry hanging up, the hair, all her clothes, and it was like, so this is it, huh? This where all the magic, your magic lair or some shit like that. And he picks up an old Sean John dress. I said, child, I have not seen Sean John in years, honey. And then it was like that purse. It was a Gucci purse, but back in the beginning, when Uncle Clifford's mama picked her up at the time, she had that same purse. And Uncle Clifford says, yeah, my mama gave me this purse when I was a youngin'. You know, I used to walk around with this purse all the time. So Lil Murder's like, so you've always been like this? And she's like, you know what that means? He's like, I don't mean no disrespect, but what are you? And she looks at him and says, I'm Uncle Clifford. What are you? Who are you? And Little Murder says, what the world won't let me be. And it's really a double-edged sword. I get it. Because it's like, technically, you could be out. But where his career is about to take off to, and the people that's fucking with him is not going to fuck with him now. So he really can't be who he is, because his career and his dreams and desires is not going to let him be that. Which I'm like, it's kind of crazy, because it's like the gays, honey, they come out and they support fully. So you definitely would have had like the people on your side if you just be who you are. Like, come on now, don't be like that. And so they just get, and what did Uncle Clifford say? Uncle Clifford said, you know, I've always been me, and people think it's, what is it? Like, they think it's great being fabulous and being like, but it's actually pretty lonely. Because when you come home and you take all that shit off after putting on your armor all day, You not gonna knock me. I'm wonderful in who I am, and you get home and ain't nobody there to take care of you or even just, give you some support. That shit is lonely. It hurts. And Lil Murder tells her, I never meant to cause you any trouble. I never meant to cause you any pain. But all the niggas I done been with in the past, we pass. Like, we pass as straight. It just is what it is. Like, I've never had to do this. And Uncle Clifford tells him, you're not gonna do that with me. You can't do that. Like, look at me. Wig laid, money outfit on, nails done. Like, honey, ain't shit straight about me. No. So they kind of like at an impasse at that, because it's just like he still wants to be with her, but at some point you got to make a choice. And that's the thing with Lil Murder. He's trying to have one foot in the closet and one foot out, and you can't do that. So anyway, we hear another thud, but this time it's downstairs. So they rush downstairs. Door is wide open. Grandmother has escaped, honey, and they have no idea where she is. But somehow they find her down by the water. She's trying to walk in because now she's ready. She says, Beulah, I'm ready. I'm coming for you. And Lil Murder's like, who the fuck is Beulah? But Uncle Clifford is standing on the side, honey. She is shook. She's like, that's my mother. And it's like, oh. So now she's ready. So it's just like, but we said this last episode, like, as soon as she said, Daddy, is that you? And how she got sick and how she already had underlying health problems. It's like, Miss Ernestine ain't gonna make it. Not too much longer anyway. So okay, now this next part, I do not understand. Why did y'all take her home just for the ambulance to come get her? Because I know y'all rode in a car somewhere. So why not take that car, put her in that car and just take her to the hospital? Instead, y'all have the ambulance come get her. And then now Ernestine and Uncle Clifford are scared because Grandma Ernestine says, I don't want to die alone. Because at that point in what it was, you couldn't come to the hospital and see them. You couldn't be in there with them. So technically, if she does pass away, she is going to die alone. And that's the sucky part. But Uncle Clifford is like, you're not going to die alone. And one of the paramedics is like, sir, we have to take her. And of course, once again, here comes Lil Murder ready to defend her honor. Like, it's ma'am. Get it right. But then he also tells her, say goodbye. Like, Lil Murder is pulling Uncle Clifford back, like, say goodbye. And she does. And it's just this heartbreaking scene of the ambulance driving away and them two standing alone in the street and Uncle Clifford looking at her grandmother going away like, oh my God. So, of course, to take Uncle Clifford's mind off Grandma Ernestine being gone, and she done, like took off all her stuff, she in her robe, he come out the closet, he got this, what is it? Like this feather around his neck. He just got on some wild shit, dancing to thong song. Cause back when, before they discovered Grandma Ernestine was gone and they was up in her room, Uncle Clifford said something about Cisco, and Lil Murder looked up and was like, who the fuck is Cisco? And Uncle Clifford and myself, we both had the same face, like, you don't know? But he was like, I know who Cisco is. Like, I was playing. Like, I'm not that fucking young that you trying to make me out to be. And I was like, the way I was concerned, I was like, huh? How old are you? Like, young man, please. But anyway, he comes out dancing, like, with this ridiculous shit on to Cisco, to thong song. He got the little gloves on. Dun, 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 dun. Let me see that. And he keeps doing. I was like, sir. I was like, the gays are so much more than this, honey. Like, you got to do something else. But he just kept doing this till Uncle Clifford was like, please, honey. Let me show you how the girls really, like, perform, honey. Like, get it, okay? But then they fall out on the bed just laughing. And Lil Murder says, because I had to show your ass that I knew something, okay? So they laughing. And then Uncle Clifford starts to cry. And I know this is like, what is it? Like, in this moment, there's literally nothing Little Murder can do for her besides try to make her feel good. So it leads to sex. Now, Uncle Clifford grabbed some condoms, like, here, put this on. Lil Murder said, no, we don't need those. And Uncle Clifford's like, are you clean? He's like, no. I mean, she's like, no. I mean, clean. Are you clean? He's like, yeah, I'm clean. Plus, I want to feel you inside of me. I said, oh, we finally get to see Lil Murder getting toughed. And I said, oh. And this, like, the chemistry, the cinematography, like how it looks and how, I said, give my people their things. They can act, honey. Like, I was so here for it. And so let me wrap up Uncle Clifford and Murder. So, like, after that, they're laying in the bed together, and Lil Murder asks him, like, you know, what made you let me back in? And basically the short answer is, we needed each other. We're both grieving right now, and under all the bullshit, we love each other. So we need each other right now. So ain't no time for that other shit. And that's just the bottom line. And now Little Murder is crying, and he's attempting to talk about T, because he's like, that night Uncle Murder said, baby, when you're ready, if you want to talk, I'm here to listen, but don't force that. So only when you're ready. And it ends with her consoling him as he's crying, still thinking about his friend that blew his brains out in front of him. So then we have Haley coming to Keyshawn's house. Talking about she went to Jackson and saw these little booties for the baby. So that's how she works her way in. So Haley and Keyshawn are in the baby's room, and the baby is like real fussy. And so Haley is like, can I? And I'd be like, bitch, no. Especially when everybody knows like how you feel about your daughter dying. I'm sorry. Haley will always be the one like, give my child back. Stop looking at her. Give my baby. Thank you so much. But for some reason, as soon as she gets the baby calms down. So I guess she just got the healing spirit on her. And she's like, let me tell you a story. First of all, this baby is going to grow up traumatized the way y'all keep telling her these horrendous ass stories, okay? Because Haley's story is all about how she met somebody, she thought she fell in, well, she grew up having a hard life, but then she finally learned how to maintain. Then this man came and swept her off her feet and gave her all these beautiful things, and she had a baby, and she thought she was happy until she saw that his teeth were knives, and she had to fight her way out. But she fought a little too late because her baby didn't come with her and the baby didn't make it. And so Keyshawn was looking at her like, hey, Haley, what are you saying? And I'm just like, girl, the fuck you mean she's saying? The same bullshit ass story you was telling your daughter about her having nice ass hair and how whatever fucking story she told her when she climbed her little ass in that crib with that baby. It's like the same fucked up thing you was doing. Haley was doing the same thing, but it comes with a warning. Get out before it's too late, before you not only lose your lives, but your children lose their lives as well. Like, come on, it's time for you to wake up. But inside the little Prada bag is actually another cell phone, which I also said, not last episode 5, like, you can't get another phone. Like, we know. No, it was last episode. It's like, you prepared to run. He tracking this phone. Get another phone. Leave that phone there and be on your merry little way. So, yeah, while he out thinking you at home, you done dipped off somewhere else. And Haley tells her, call me when you're ready to learn how to swim. Because the whole analogy of her story was like being above water or treading water or some shit like that. So, the ending, I'm just going to wrap this up because I didn't care. I don't care. So, Mercedes, Terica has been at her house for the last 3 days. She called Shell on the phone like, let me keep little mama till you can get yourself together. And Shell was like, she already been over there 2 days. And Mercedes had to correct her and say, girl, it's actually been 3. Who cares? But she like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace, TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this someplace. TC. I don't know. It's like, come on, we gonna go to this somepla TCBY, TCYB, some shit. I'm telling y'all, when I say I don't care, I do not care. But actually, they're going to Jackson where there's an abortion clinic. But Mercedes says it's just a consultation because she keep asking her like, "What are you gonna do?" And she's like, "I don't know. I don't know." She's 14. She does not know. And her and the boy, Keelan, he's also 14. Talking about he gonna get a part-time job. But these are children. Of course they don't know how bills work because somebody else is taking care of them and they don't know the ins and out of everyday life. So she's they both are romanticizing this shit like, oh, we can just do that, and it'll be cool and it's gonna be all right. We gonna work it out. And Mercedes is trying to give her some like real life, but it's like, baby, she not gonna listen to you. Cause it's like, you had me, didn't it work out? Like, I'm gonna work it out. And then she said something about letting Patrice babysit. And Mercedes is like, baby, that ain't gonna work out how you think it is. And stop calling her grandmother. Her name is Patrice. And so we also get this montage of when Mercedes was young and they were sitting at a diner. And Patrice looks at her because it's time to pay the bill. And she's this older man. I was gonna say younger. This old ass man is looking at her. And instead of yelling at him and getting that nasty ass motherfucker together, Patrice looks at her and says, you know, why don't you go do what you do? Basically being her fucking pimp. And say, do what you do and get this covered. And Mercedes is like, no, I got money. I'm good. But when she opens her wallet, it's a condom in there. I'm like, now you was ready for her to flirt with this old ass nigga and put herself out on the line, not even knowing what could happen. But the fact that you see a condom and see that she's protecting herself, that's a problem. And she beats her all over that restaurant. And I'm like, nobody intervenes? Nobody says nothing? Because the way she was going to town on her just off seeing a condom made no sense. But Patrice been a hypocrite, so I'm not surprised. Like, that's how church folks do. So we not even gonna go. It was not surprising to me. But then Mercedes just keeps having these flashbacks of she now sees herself in Patrice. But instead of forcing Terica to keep it like how Patrice did her, she's almost kind of forcing her to get rid of it. Like, please don't do this to yourself. Basically, and Terica could read between the lines, like, so you don't want me to be like you. It's basically what she's saying. Like, don't be me. You got your whole life ahead of you. Don't you want to see outside of Mississippi, outside of Chucalissa? Like, you can travel the world. You can do so many things. Please do not keep this baby. But then I think Terica was only fighting it so hard because, like, as a teenager, it's like the fact that you don't want me to means I'm going to. But in the end, when they get ready to leave Jackson, Mercedes says, it's up to you, because she lets her drive her car. She's like, you get to make the decision. Either we going back to Chucalissa or we're going back to the clinic in Jackson. So when they on the road, the sign to turn right is coming up for Jackson, and I shouldn't have laughed, but I did chuckle a little bit because the way when Terica, like, it was her last chance to think about it, so she turns on the blinker, the grin that covered Mercedes' face had me rolling. She's like, yes, baby, get that abortion. You better do it. I said, ma'am, please. But yeah, that's the end of the episode. And I'm going to insert a clip of next week's episode so we can see what we have to look forward to. But I will say this. It looks like Little Murder is back on bullshit. And sir, if you are, I'm going to be done in a minute. Because as much as I want y'all two to work out, who got time for that? I don't. Because it's like Uncle Murder, Lord, not me putting y'all together. Uncle Clifford tells him, you got a lot of secrets, but I'm not going to be one of them, child. And I said, I know that's right. But anyway, peace and blessings, my beautiful people.
You got a lot of secrets, and I ain't finna be one of them. If I was anywhere, I was protected. Were you?
Yo, boss, we can wage a war on two fronts. This casino goes down in flames. It's on your head.
Tell me what you want. Please don't give up on me.
What I want can't be bought.
Open right round the corner, bitches.
Down in the valley, baby.